talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about augmented humanity in just a second. It's not a term or a phrase that I or we coined. I can't remember who did it, but it's been like the last 15 or so years. But it's something that I like a lot. I use it as a hashtag on a lot of my LinkedIn posts. The reason is because I think technology should be supporting the very human processes and problems that we're trying to solve in the work that we're doing. And so that's what we'll be talking about today, is how to essentially augment humanity with the technology tools that we build. So, yeah. You got the clicker? Cool.
Oh, yeah. If you want to dig into the visuals on this guy, this is actually a Star Trek, not a stock photo. Right after the moment when the Enterprise is about to die to technology and the human Kirk saves the crew and like the ship and everything.
So this is one of my favorite quotes. Who knows who Don Norman is? Good, passed the test. UX designers, product people, wrote the book Design of Everyday Things. Who has that book? I don't. I shouldn't be raising my hand. I've never read it. But I do know who Don Norman is and respect the things that he says about product. And particularly about being human-centric and people-centric. And so I won't read this quote to you. The real big piece of this is people-centric. Obviously it's bolded, right? So let's solve problems for people in their lives, the things that we're building. So that's what we're talking about today.
So truly meaningful human problems are solved by people, not by software. This feels like a pretty obvious thing, but as software people, it is our job, and like we get so much satisfaction out of building amazing software, right? And it's easy to get caught up in the fact that my software that I built is going to go solve problems for people. The really meaningful ones and the human ones have to be solved by people. They're the ones that make the changes in their life. If they want to become financially independent or just get out of debt, right? Like that's on me. Now, baking apps can help me get there, but I'm going to be the one that has to make those developmental changes in my life, right? So that kind of human problem is what we've been focused on as we've been building this. So I'm Devin, and Steve here. I'm the product director of the Bridge design team here at Instructure. Steve?
I'm in between roles. I took a 6-week mini sabbatical. We'll talk about that another time, but it's been fantastic to kind of refresh, reset, recharge. But I'm moving into a new role, director of, I don't even know what the title's going to be, but it's probably like corporate strategy. So we have a new strategy group here at Instructure that I'll be a part of. So.
Yeah. So I threw my avatar up here because if anyone like looked at the meetup and they're like, oh, cool, no Steve, who's that other guy? And then you got here and you're like, yeah, who's that other guy still? I've been growing my hair out for a couple of years now, and it's always like an experiment when you go through something like that, right? So we were in Boston a while back with my team, and we're walking through the streets of Boston for this design conference, and it's super windy, and I'm just imagining what's happening right back here. And we went to lunch at this crab shack, and like first thing in my mind, because I'm like going through this change is I gotta go find a bathroom and just go look in a mirror and make sure that like everything's okay, right? And so I like pretended like I needed to go to the bathroom, right? And just go and look in the mirror, and I walk into this bathroom, and this is what I see. I literally look right into this like window panel frame. I'm like, there's not even a window. Like, right? I honestly think about this photo very often because that's what I needed from that bathroom that day, right? It's to find out that I looked fine. In many ways, that's what we need to be doing for our users, is helping them to feel that reassurance that the path they're going down is right.
My thought on this bathroom is that this was not an accident. It's not like some random dude came in here and like busted the mirror, took it away, like broke the mirror, and wrote "You look fine" on here. This is, in my mind, probably deliberate design. Somebody saying, what is the problem that this mirror is actually trying to solve? Well, it's trying to solve us feeling confident that we look all right? And instead of solving that with a mirror, they said, well, let's just put "You look fine" there, and maybe we can solve the problem for people. And you just have confidence that they're fine. It's fine.
The thing I love here, the projector doesn't show very well, but in black ink here, someone grabbed a Sharpie and wrote "thanks." So obviously, a more confident person who didn't need the mirror in the first place.
Human-centered design, though, in many
So I just also want to say you guys all are fine today.
Just fine. This is me. So, some of you, anybody know who those two dudes are? That's Jimmy Chin and Alex Honnold. Jimmy Chin's a National Geographic photographer, senior photographer, and writer, and Academy Award winner now. And Alex Honnold free soloed El Capitan, and won Best Documentary for that. And the reason I have this picture here is because this day was kind of the pinnacle of my career. We're talking about career development. That's the problem that Devin and I have been embarking on solving as a product person, as a designer. The picture on the right is me presenting many of the concepts you'll hear today in London, a room of about 125 people. Another one of those pinnacle moments for me. And then these on the bottom really just kind of describe the way that I think. I can't think without a marker in my hand. Like I have to have a marker. So there's one up here just in case I lose my way. And so this is some diagrams about some of the problems we're trying to solve here at Instructure, me trying to get my mind around product marketing because I spent a little bit of time there. But that just is a little introduction to me. This work that I've been doing has been kind of a pinnacle moment for me in my career. Why Nate Walkinshaw? So this is kind of a good setup for this presentation. When I came to Utah, I didn't know who Nate Walkinshaw was. I had spent 5 years working for a company in Washington, D.C. I came out here to Instructure, and I thought I was good at product, and then I started to hear about the god of product in Utah, Nate Walkinshaw, right? And I was like, who is this guy? And what makes him so special? And I had a lot of skepticism. He talked about directed discovery as if it was like some new and novel concept about building product. I thought it was pretty similar to the stuff that I'd been reading in other books, and so I wasn't like, okay, wow, like Nate Walkinshaw, I'm really excited. And then I got to see him in person. And so I went to a front workshop, and I'm sitting in this front workshop with all my skepticism about who does this guy think he is, he thinks he's so cool, and all that sort of stuff. And he gets up in the front, he's got his slides up, and instead of diving into his presentation, he says, you know what, I need to say something first. And he looks everybody in the eye, like one by one, and says, I love you. And he just lets it sit. What is he talking? And then he says it again. I love you. And I'm like, I'm still skeptical, right? And he's like, how can I say that? I don't even know most of you. He says, we're all product designers and builders. We're solving problems in human-centered ways. And that brings us together. I have a sense of empathy for you, and I love you. And that was a profound moment for me in my career. My skepticism, especially because I felt it in such a genuine way, it evaporated. This is a guy who really gets it. And he says, I want to teach you about empathy. And that's kind of why I'm here today. It's because of people like Nate, who put that as the centerpiece of the work that we do as practitioners, understanding and empathy for the people that we build for, the users that we serve. So,
Awesome.
So before we
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Before we jump in, just kind of want to set the stage with, this is from martial arts. Raise your hand if you've heard of this. Wow, more people than I thought. So this is a martial arts concept, shuhari, and it's going from, like the slide says, learning to mastery. And so each of these is a phase. Shu, ha, and ri are each phases. And this concept was introduced to me by my father. He's an agile coach, and he teaches agile and safe and all these processes. He teaches it all around the world to Fortune 100 companies. And when he teaches, he always starts with this concept here. And it's because it's the way that we learn things. We start with shu, move into ha, and then into ri. And this is what each of these phases kind of represents. So in the shu phase, we're following the rules. In the ha phase, we're learning to break certain rules. And in the ri phase, we're becoming the rules. We are inventing the rules. Quick story about my journey in piano. So, has anyone played the piano? Got a few, so you'll understand this.
Probably the same people who know shuhari.
Maybe. There's a lot of lines, actually. So, when you're learning the piano, I started when I was 12, and you're introduced to music and staff and notes on a page and how they correspond to a keyboard. And early teachers will often, at least back in the day, they'd have rulers, and they'd smack kids on the wrist if their hands weren't curved right, if they weren't sitting up straight, if they weren't playing the right rules with the right fingers. in piano, there's finger numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you've got it numbered on a page, and it's very specific how you're supposed to play this instrument. You're in this phase of shoe, and you've got teachers really demanding that you follow the rules, right? I remember very distinctly the first time that my piano teacher told me to break the rules. She said, those notes on the page are just guidelines now. I'd like you to start to add notes here and there as you see fit. Let me teach you a little bit how to do that. And so I started to learn to break the rules a little bit. It's called improvisation, right? And then there was a period in my life where I didn't have any music with me. And so when I sat in front of a piano, I had to make it up. So I construct from music that I'd already learned and from anything else that I wanted to create. New music, composition, all that sort of thing. And that's the B phase, that's the re phase. Right? And so as you're thinking about, as we're going through this presentation, think about where are you in your journey as a product designer, as a product builder, as a problem solver in your organization. Do you need to learn the rules and the constructs? Are you moving towards a deeper level of mastery where you need to invent those rules? And a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is about moving into the break and the beat.
So Steve first introduced this concept to me when I came to him with my deep desire to be a jazz pianist, right? Like piano is fine, but like jazz piano, guys, is a whole different thing. And I'm like, I just love that. And if I could just drop everything and instantly have this skill, like, so how do I do that? He's like, well, you kind of got to follow the rules. And I'm like, okay, forget it. That's going to be too hard. I don't remember my fingers, right? But one of my favorite jazz pianists is Jane Colin. Masterful musician, and I just wanted to pop in and just like highlight some stuff that he does here. So much passion. I mean, this guy is like a deep, true performer.
It's actually a thing that Devin and I share as a passion for Jane Colin. One of his songs was my first dance at my wedding.
I've looked at piano music on Amazon to try and find this, and all the reviews are terrible. And Steve highlighted that this morning, that like he's adding notes. He's making stuff up on the fly. He's changing the rhythm as he goes. You know, he's mastered this instrument so well. And look, isn't that just great? So let me jump towards the end. I love, he masters his instrument. He uses the entire piano. He doesn't just play the keys. He's found new ways to leverage the ability of the piano.
And who's to say whether he even had this part planned, right? You could have just been feeling the energy of the crowd. He's sweating like crazy. He's getting his heart singing this thing. He's like, what the hell? Let's see what else the piano can do. If I started to do this at a piano lesson when I was 12,
that would have been a good moment. He's mixing in the rules of the piano with like his improvisation. Just really amazing, right? So that like highlights what the capability if we dig in there to achieve kind of that full mastery. So how does this apply to research today? Well, we're going to be talking a lot about kind of these break and be phases of research that we feel like we've stumbled into that have just really, really impacted our lives and our careers in this last year and a half. But you got to know the basics. So like a couple of those things here. When you're taught to do traditional user research, you're told not to like respond to what they said with a, oh, great, and then move on, right? Because it gives them the affirmation that, oh, what I said was right. Good, right? So you say, okay. Anyway, and then you move on, right? And so it feels kind of mechanical in a lot of ways. You have to ask non-leading questions. You have an agenda of questions. You ask every single person the same thing so it can be measured accurately. In the break and be phase that we've stumbled across, and we'll highlight a lot of this, the importance of getting to the heart of human problems requires authenticity. You have to speak to people conversationally, like they're humans. If you ask the same questions every time, then they will answer your questions, but they'll never tell you their story. And you'll never learn what's really behind all of that. And so that's at the heart of it, is kind of what we've learned as we've gone through this process.
And the problem that we've learned these things from is a problem that I think is interesting and unique in my career. And one of the reasons it's unique is because it's ubiquitous. How many people in this room have a career? You should all raise your hand, right? How many of you are trying to develop and grow and get somewhere in your career? All of you, again, whether it's in your mind or like Ted, he's like, I really want to raise my hand. But nobody else is, right? It's a ubiquitous problem, which is unique. Like, it's a rare thing to get to work on a ubiquitous problem. Number two, though, is it's a completely uncracked, unsolved problem. There's lots of books like What Colors Your Parachute, if you've seen that book, lots of assessments, lots of career coaches, but nobody's really cracked it. It's a very deeply ubiquitous and human problem, right? And it's got an unknown kind of problem space and an unknown set of solutions, which makes it really cater to the type of research methods that we use. And just like any product developer or designer, we kind of thought we could build software that would heroically solve this problem for people. We're like, well, the reason it hasn't been solved is because nobody's designed good enough software yet, right? And so we decided to design some software and try to sell it in the market before we built it, because that's a really good practice that we use here at Instructure, is go do some market or buyer validation of our product before we go build something, because software is very expensive. And so Jesh actually, right here on the front, center, waiver, yeah, show everybody your amazing hair too. It's really, you're welcome. So Jesh did this, and it's gorgeous. And underneath the hood of this is a lot of nerd magic as Gentry. He can raise his hand too. He's right there. He was the director of this product. And so there's a lot of nerd magic under the hood. You see roll match, 53%. If you're a production designer, then there's a 53% chance that art director is good for you, right? Some good nerd magic. And then sentiment. How are people feeling? Where's the mobility around this role? It's all very role-centric as well. When we showed this to buyers out in all over the country, we talked to 45 different companies all over the world. They all love this. It's like, if this existed today, we would totally buy this, right? This hat here, like, you know, the only thing that gave me comfort about this screen when I first saw it, honestly, is that I thought that designers had a very linear career path. So I'm like, this works. These designers, yeah, they move from production designer to UX to senior UX to manager to whatever. Since working on this problem, I realized that nobody has a linear career path. And so, like, today, this software looks like, oh man, this will totally not solve the problem. But back then, when we were showing it to buyers, we thought this was the solution. We were super stoked. Like, people will be able to explore roles, and we've got all these pretty animals. We solved the problem of like diversity and inclusion. We don't want people to freak out about kind of those sorts of issues. We solved that problem. Like, we're doing a lot of really good work to make sure software can solve this problem, right?
Yeah. So that app focus we have is really a lot like this, and I absolutely love this. Who's familiar with Sneeches? Okay, The Pants with Nobody Inside It is also a classic inside of that trio book. Highly recommend going and grab that. This is Sylvester McMuffin. He strolls onto the Sneech Island with his magical device that will transport people from one stage of their life in dissatisfaction, pop them out on the other side of the machine, and instantly they're all happy, right? They got stars on their bellies. They're like the cream of the crop. So everyone's like popping in and out of this machine, dropping their money, keeps upgrading the machine, like giving them better steps. Oftentimes, the apps that we're building, we see as this kind of silver bullet. You come into our app, you're going to come out so happy. It's going to be great, right? And it's that app focus of things that doesn't consider the people and what they need to accomplish. So we realized as we were going through building a lot of this stuff that this was kind of that focus that we had, right? And we needed to get down and understand the people a lot better. So as we moved from a buyer validation process in our product development to a user validation, it became critically important for us to understand our users. But really, like, we can upgrade that, right? We're all people. And we're not solving user problems. We're solving human problems. How do we help people in the work that we're doing? So design thinking is kind of the mechanism that we've used for that. And a lot of people look at design thinking as a problem-solving matrix. And I think it's, Steve shined a light on this for me, and I think it's really cool to look at that as a problem-finding mechanism. This is what helps you find the right problems to go and solve. and then you figure out how to solve them when you talk to the people, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. Oh, that's your pain. Oh yeah, that's how you do it, right? And it all comes really quickly.
So how many of you, and really raise your hands this time, are familiar with the design thinking story behind the Swiffer? So there's only a couple. That's great. So I get to tell the whole story. So the Swiffer.
We had a debate on how many people would know. You guys really left me down there. Yeah, we didn't put money on it, luckily. But
he owes me $50. How many of you have this broom here? Are you serious? You have this broom right here? You paid $76 for a broom? Okay, so this is a $76 broom. You have a different version then. This one has 14 reviews on Amazon. Who else raised their hand? One other person raised their hand. Was it you, Gentry? Were you trolling me? Okay, so nobody has this broom. Like, nobody pays $76 for a broom. You might have liked it. Or maybe they had to discount it down to like $10 and you're like, sweet, it's an awesome $10 broom. What problems is it solving? Shout it out. Ergonomic handle. Aesthetic. Yeah. Yeah. Don't have to bend over because it's the dustbin. Like I can just reach there, right? How many of you store your brooms in your living room? So you don't care about the aesthetic of the broom? Is that what you're saying? You want it out of the living room, maybe? Right? How hard is it to bend over and sweep? Like, if you can sweep, can you bend over to, like, do this? Or do you need that? Like, that might be a good problem to solve. I don't know. But it also takes up a lot more space in my closet, right? So there's reasons why none of you raised your hand here, except for, what's your name? Jeremy. I'm going to give Jeremy a hard time the whole rest of this presentation. But how many of you have the Swiffer? Really raise your hand. This is one of the few problems. You don't have one, Tesh?
No, I have a little. Sorry, I have a little iRobot that does that.
Excuse me while I turn on my robot.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. The Swiffer is one of the few products in the world that has more than 100% market penetration. What does it mean to have more than 100% market penetration? It means that on average, people have more than one of them in their homes. It was the fastest product in Procter & Gamble's history to $200 million in revenue. Fastest to $1 billion in revenue. It got to $200 million in its first year. Why did it get to $200 million in revenue in its first year? Well, I tell you, it's not because someone was sitting on their couch at home thinking, I have an idea that's going to change the world with sweeping. That's how my mom thinks it works. And I give her a hard time all the time. She's like, if only I had the idea for the Swiffer, I'd be so rich. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Because what Procter & Gamble did is they hired a company called Continuum, and Continuum went out and watched people sweep for hundreds of hours. And then they recorded those videos so that they could watch it for thousands of hours. And then they sat and they put markers on the videos, like scientists, right? It said, like, this is an interesting insight from here and here and here and here, until they synthesized it into the 3 key insights, which is number 1, we sweep, number 2, we bend over, and number 3, we wipe up with a rag to get that little residue. If you're responsible, if you're like me as a kid, you kick the dirt under the table so that mom doesn't see it, right? But they solved some problems with the Swiffer. The hidden problem that they solved is that it's compact. You see the little places where it disconnects? It fits into a small box about this size. Why is that important? Because now it fits in a certain shelving location in a grocery store. Now it's easier to get that distributed. So they solved a market problem and a user problem. They also got it down to $14 a pop. And so now it has over 100% market penetration. And so that's kind of like what we're going to take you through is our process of doing that same sort of thing for career development.
Yeah. So as Steve mentioned, oftentimes people don't start with that discovery phase, right? They jump straight over to ideas. I got a great idea, it's going to make me $1 million. And this is kind of the process that we try and solve in discovering the right problems and iterating through them quickly, right? So you go to discovery, you jump into ideas. Once you have ideas, you start to formulate ideas for the models, right? How can I test this thing? What's the best prototype that I can test this idea that I have? And then it goes back through that loop, right? You test it out, you find some new things, and then you go discover more on those things. This axis that comes out to the right, as we've gone through this process, the critically successful thing for us is start with the individual. Solve it for one person, And that means you have to do things that don't scale. That means that the work you're going to put into this is going to have to like change for the next round, right? But you solve it for one person. Once you solve it for one person, you solve it for a team of people. Once you solve it for a team, you start moving to company, and eventually into that kind of world-changing scale. And so kind of the 3 insights for us here in this process is don't skip discovery. You got a great idea. It's probably a crap idea, unless it came from someone else, right? Go discover it. Some of you might have good ideas. I'm sorry. Jeremy, you probably have great ideas. This is a bad cop, good cop thing.
That's why you bought such an awesome room.
Solve problems for one person first and do things that don't scale. And then as you go through this process, you do it once, like I said, you learn something, you move on, you do it again, right? And you continually go down this path until the space between those iterations increases and increases, and you're starting to scale to larger scope there.
And if you're at shoe phase and you just want to learn the rules to this is where we kind of learned our rules initially before we started to break out. Does anyone have this book? You got it? Because I told you to buy it, right? Yeah. But this is a really good book. If you've ever heard of business model generation, it comes from the same people. It's called Design a Better Business.
Yep. So jumping into the research we did, that's kind of the heart of the story here. So in trying to figure out career development for people, how do they think about their careers? We went out and just started with open-ended questions with people. We asked these 3 questions: How do you get to this place in your career? What does the pinnacle of your career look like? And how do you plan to get there?
I'm going to jump in for just a second.
Yeah.
Because like before we even got here, we were in the in-between phase of having done some buyer research, and now we need to go do some user research. And in that in-between phase, there was a lot of kind of frustration and misalignment. Mm-hmm. Devin and I fought a lot, is what that's code for. Spanish for me and Devin fighting.
Yeah, that's fair.
And what we needed to do to get over that was to say, hey, let's get out of the building and actually talk to some users. And so I said, Devin, I'm going to go talk to some users. And he's like, yeah, who are you going to talk to? Are you going to schedule it? And I'm like, no, I'm just getting out of the building. Tomorrow, I'm going to go down to BYU. They've got an MBA program. I'm going to sit outside their lounge, and anybody who comes out of it, I'm going to interview. And he's like, don't you want to like think this through a little bit more? Come up with some questions. Like he was thinking in shoe phase, like all the rules of user research. And I'm like, no, we just got to get the hell out of the building because we're just fighting too much, right? And so I said, I'm going to be at BYU, and either you're going to be there with me to help, or you're not, and I'm going to do it on my own. And so luckily, I'm really grateful. I showed up the next morning at BYU, and our first interviews were garbage. They were less even structured than this.
Yeah.
They were just like, tell us about your career. Like, do you want to go somewhere and like talk about that?
What are you doing here in the MBA lounge? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. What do you want to do after you graduate? All right.
And then, in fact, this guy right here is Dan Cisco. I'll remember this guy forever. He wanted to be a product manager. You can see product management at Spotify. So we're like, do you have any idea how you're going to get to be a product manager at Spotify? Like, does this MBA program relate to it? We just had this very open-ended conversation. He felt awkward, we felt awkward, but we started to build this empathy, right?
Yeah, and we learned a lot through this process, but it was a tremendous amount of work to get some information about people, right? Like we had to dig, we had to follow up, we had to tell me more, and that level of conversation obviously is not something we're going to scale. We can't hand this off to a manager in a company and say, yeah, go have a really deep conversation that takes 2 hours and see if you find something out about your people, right? And so while we were going out doing this research, the design and product manager back in the office created this kind of concept, right? Career development is not a straight path; it's a windy journey, right? We're trying to get to some point in the future, but we don't know exactly where that is or how high that mountain peak is. But there's going to be some skill design you'll learn along the way, right? We felt pretty confident about this idea that we had, and we needed to have a way that we could actually test this, right? How do we find out if this is working? And building a digital prototype and with customized fields and like there's an insane amount of work that would have to go into that. And so we went to paper, and this is the prototype that we went out with people. We literally got a big sheet of paper. We sketched that out in the beginning and said, okay, you're right here. You're kind of going on this journey. Your pinnacle's out there somewhere. Tell me about it. And they'd fill out the stuff on the right. And we talked about that for 10 minutes. We tried to stay out of it as long as possible. In fact, Steve had an idea, like, what if we just had like sticky notes where we'd like put a question out and say, now what, right? Like we're actually at an interface in this point.
And it's 11 by 17 sketchpad, which if you're doing paper prototyping, I highly recommend like call it a big ass sketchpad. Fast, right? Term. Get one of those because then people ask you all sorts of questions. They're like, "What is with this sketchpad?" And I'm like, "It's my app." Like, what the hell are you talking about? And then all of a sudden, user research, right?
Yeah. And a little bit of marketing in there too. Yeah. So they tell us about the pinnacle career. We say, well, how are you going to get there? Like, what are the 3 things that you could do right now to get there? Well, everybody was able to do this. It was really hard. And so these are some examples of some of those. Like, we got this guy on the far right. He wants to own his own company, maybe do something in leadership. And he's very specific. My own company should be like Tesla. It needs to be mission-driven and focused. And then other things were super vague, right? But we asked, well, how are you going to get to that thing? Well, I need better confidence. So I'm going to start my own company. I need to work on finances, right? Steve, you got some?
And if you notice, there's 2 different sets of handwriting here. So this is my handwriting here and down here. And then this is his handwriting, and this is his handwriting, and this is his handwriting. So what we were testing here is, so first off, I draw the interface here, and then the cloud. And then I hand them the pen to write. And then I draw the boxes and have them write skills. And then I ask them to come up with activities that would align to those skills, and they'd write on their own. And then when they got to the end, we'd say, hey, now we're going to play recommendation engine. So we could kind of learn about how recommendations might be made inside the software. And I start to recommend things like stretch activities and learning and goals and other things to put on the plan. And then they would draw lines through the ones that were bad and keep the ones that were good. And then they'd keep this plan. We take a picture of it and take it back to the office.
Yeah, and I'm glad you jumped into the details there because there's a tremendous amount you can learn from just like, trading off like that and like, okay, you do it. Okay, now I'm going to play interpreter and I'm going to write for you. Go through this process. So we had a whole bunch of these conversations. Here's a couple examples of some more here. These guys want to work on soft skills, consultant-based, flexible schedules. This person on the top right, it's so hard. And like he sat there and looked at this blank canvas for a long time. I don't know what I want to do. And he just write that down. It's so hard. Okay, what else? And so this process was really, really interesting to watch people go through.
This woman went through this process, and then afterwards she said, I don't like this. I don't think it will help me. And I said, okay, well, that's okay. And she folded this up, and it's still on her desk. Like today, it's upstairs. I could take you up there when you're part of the tour. We could stop here and show you her career plan. She's got sticky notes all over it, different colors of pen, and she's written different notes on it, and she's used it as the basis of her career development ever since this conversation. And so while it was uncomfortable at first, it added such value for her that she had to keep it and continue to refer back to it.
Yeah, and again, she solved that problem. She took this and went and did something it wasn't the software did it for. So we had a lot of research at this point. We had 60 plus conversations with people in different forums. We had to figure out what the patterns that we're seeing here. And we transferred this all to stickies. At this point, Steve went and occupied a room for a week, and I was like, Steve, we talked to people for 3 weeks. I'm so exhausted. I gotta touch a computer. I just need to design something, right? And so I highlight that because we all have restraints, right? And there's moments when someone needs to go and do something that works for them, and someone else work for them. So I went off and I started designing all these ideas I had in my head and trying to get those out to see what we could do. And Steve went to big synthesis mode, so I'll let you walk me through that.
Well, I mean, this looks like it might have been a fast process. It's not that many stickies, maybe 300 or so. But this took 6 days, of dedicated. I killed all my meetings for the week, and all I did was write on stickies and try to make sense of it. And the model that ended up making sense was to actually use our paper prototypes model to put the stickies right against that. And so this is a big version of the paper prototype. You can see the skills. These are the 3 boxes that you saw at the top of the paper prototype. These are the activities that people put under those boxes. And then over here is the long-term vision of the career that people put on there as well.
So we kind of came to a new hypothesis after this. How do people think about that pinnacle of their career? All the affinity mapping that happened here came up that we got there we go, my mic. This is like values that they had, dreams, the inputs that went into their career vision. Roles is up here in the top right hand corner. Like so few people named a role. Like that's what our whole product was built around initially.
All those stickies come from 2 conversations, if I remember right. So there's like 9 to 10 stickies that were all from 2 conversations out of 25. And so it was few people.
Yeah. So drivers, this is what motivates people. What do they value? What do they want to be able to do at the pinnacle of their career? What kind of work do they want to do in activities? What are the skills that I need to get there? And eventually, kind of what are the roles that will that'll kind of submerge in. So discovery, we go back in there. We got to figure out this driver thing. Is there a set of words that like everyone has in common? And how can we help again managers have this conversation in a more meaningful way?
And so I went home after the 6 days, and I was so inundated with this problem that I like had to solve a new problem and create a new prototype. And so here's my new prototype. You can see it here too. But these are all the original cards that I wrote with Sharpie on the backside, and then that's my kitchen table. And then I brought my wife down to test it, and she was really annoyed because it was 6:30 in the morning. And I was like, "You want to test my new app?" And she's like, "What is this?" I go back to bed, right? And then I took it to work, and we had 12 conversations the next day. Our director of talent kind of helped me find some people who could test this new thing. And then Devin was at home, making things look good and making me look bad. Mine's ugly like this.
And we kind of started this process like at the same time without talking to each other. We're like, this is how we got to solve this problem.
I know how ideas work when you do discovery, right?
Yeah.
Ideas have you
get on the same page.
The ideas, because you've done that deep discovery, you have that empathy, and then the ideas just come out.
So I started printing these things out from a printer, got an X-Acto knife, and started cutting each individual card out, right? Eventually we got a Cricut machine, which was a lot better, but like terrible still, right? We got to like 20 decks in a matter of a week on a large format printer and a Cricut machine, and like throwing out cards that didn't register right, and whatever it might be. And eventually started having these really meaningful conversations with people. We asked them, pick 2 words from each deck that are meaningful drivers in their career. They would line them all out, and most important on the left and least important on the right, and then like slide them up and down these little digital sliders, right, for how well met their needs were on these things. So on the far right, opportunity, not at all met for this person right now. It's super, super low on that axis, and results, like she's getting a ton of it. She's feeling highly fulfilled in that area, right? You can tell the story of a specific one, right?
You kind of sign that you're feeling empathy for the problem that you're solving. When I see this picture is almost a year old now. I know whose this was. Like I have the face and the name and the story, because it's just it's like a fingerprint of this person and what matters to them in their career. And I can tell you the woman whose story this is somebody who felt like she was being expanded in terms of responsibility broad, but she was not getting the leadership opportunity that she wanted. And so the company felt like they were giving her immense opportunity while her needs were completely not met. And so we were able to do some things to help sponsor her to find more leadership opportunities in the organization. And since then, things have changed. But that's the type of impact that these conversations have had. I've had now 600 of these conversations. And there's a good percentage of these conversations where if you just showed me the picture, I could tell you who that person was and what the conversation was like in that moment.
So the remarkable thing about this is that like we started putting these in front of people, and they would just tell us their story, right? They'd pick out a card and be like, "Oh man, opportunity. This is super important to me. I have this," and they just go on, and we just like, "Tell me more," you know? And we just sit back and we listen. It was incredibly disarming. Like you couldn't walk up to a person, "Hey Todd, tell me all of your darkest secrets," right? Like what's hard for you about life? And he's still staring at me. Why is he still looking at me, right? And so it accomplished amazing things that way. It's just this deep, deep connection. And we both had experiences where they get up and hug you afterward. There's like tears shared because people share their story. They talk about themselves in this process. People felt heard for the first time. No one has ever asked me this before, right? And so it's just really, really humanizing of a process to go through. So this had a really profound impact on us as well. It had on the users. Did you have a story you wanted to share here?
The story I want to hear you share is about how it impacted your decision to go into management despite your better judgment.
Yeah, that is fair. I'm going to share that in a second because that is a good one. That literally is. This has really impacted in a big way my life, you guys. So I want to tell this empathy story first. This is something Steve's mentioned many times here. I remember this person, right? I know who this was. This was a research project for me, right? And so we'd go into these interviews, and Steve would walk up in the beginning of the room, and we'd trade off in this. He'd go up and say, all right, guys, this is what this is about, you. And he'd write the word you on the board. This is the most important reason why we're here today. If you don't get anything out of this, it was a waste of all of our time. Your company, they've asked us to come in here. They felt like maybe we can help with some development issues in the company, and we're hoping that we can give some information back to them after we talk to them. But last of all, product. We're trying to build a product. If we can find insights from this, then we hope we can find a way to leverage that. Right? And it sounded really nice, but the whole time I'm back there thinking that's why I'm here. I gotta go build a product that I can keep my job and build something awesome for people. And so I was asking the questions. I was in the shoe stage, right? I was posing the questions. I was waiting for the answers. I was posing the questions. And so I got right out of this. We trade places. And that's something, principle, I think, that's really important as you guys go through this, is swap. You'll learn so much from each other as you swap and change it around. But I got up, I went through the same script. Wrote you on the board, tried to look real genuine. Wrote company on the board, felt a little more genuine product. I'm like, yeah, are you listening? Right? And I went through that interview that first time. And we got out of it, and there was no deep insight that we'd gained. And I'm like, what did I do? Totally screwed. Why did it not work? So I did it again. Why did it not work? Well, it clicked by the second time that I wasn't getting to the heart of their problems. I wasn't asking them to tell me a story, right? I was just asking them to answer my questions so I could move on, right? And people know when it's not genuine. They know when it's not authentic. And so that empathy experience has totally shaped me as a person. I want to understand people. And I know that there's so much that they can share underneath that. Now, to follow up to this, the next day after we did this company visit, we come back to the office. Steve comes in, 8:30 in the morning. He goes, so tired. I'm like, oh, you didn't sleep well? Yeah, I couldn't sleep at all. Oh, were you sick? No, I just been thinking about Susan. Susan who? What are you talking about? He's like, Susan, she's got all these problems, and I don't know how we're going to help her. And she's really struggling with this stuff. And I was like, wow, you remember their name? Okay, hold on, let me go to my notes, right? And I started flipping through my notes there. But that's the place we have to get to. If we want to make an impact, and if we want to really understand people, we've got to care deep enough to lose sleep, right? We've got to care deep enough to really believe you and not me. And so that's a big impact that's had on me. Now, you asked, what time is it? We're getting kind of late. All right, come and talk to me about my story about a manager. I should really write a blog post about this, but okay.
I'll write it for you. You can put your name on it.
That would actually happen if we went that route. Yeah, I'm an audiobook, not a reader. Yeah, yes, that's true. Yeah, you go straight for me.
If you take one thing away from this, I hope it's the empathy side of the story. We do have software too, so we've actually built software to augment the cards approach, but we've shipped 23,000 decks of cards. We're going to probably ship a lot more decks of cards because everyone who signs a subscription for Bridge now, we send cards to, and they actually use it as part of their process, and then we use the software to augment the human conversation. We call it a conversational assessment for a reason. Many of you have taken assessments that are like StrengthsFinder or some MBTI thing or whatever, and that's just you and a computer and filling out some questions. This is an actual conversation, and so we've had a hard time finding out whether we can actually build technology that will be able to replace the human conversation that we've built. So that's now the challenge, is how do we build technology that augments the humanity of what we've found and what we've done. So we have a lot of other stuff too, but we do want to leave a few minutes for questions. You can read that. We aligned as a team as we got out of the building. Things move a lot faster when you have shared empathy across all the disciplines of your business. You can build trust with the users, and then you feel a lot more purpose in your work when you actually feel the core of their problems and you want to solve those people's problems that become real human problems. So, do you want to let questions, or do you want to dive in?
Yeah, we highlighted just the last couple things in here. So again, the secret to mastering empathy, You got to have intense listening, deep caring. These are kind of the main principles that we feel like are important. Have a mindset you can learn something from everyone. Challenge your assumptions. Don't think you understand what's going on. Ask. See if you're right? Be authentic. If you want to connect with people, you've got to be authentic yourself. This is a quote that I really, really love. This is from How to Win Friends and Influence People about Sigmund Freud. Never had he seen such concentrated attention. There was none of that piercing, soul-gazing business. His eyes were mild and genial. His voice was low and kind. His gestures were few. But the attention he gave me, his appreciation of what I said, even when I said about it, was extraordinary. You've no idea what it meant to be listened to like that.
It's not about like leaning in on your chair and nodding your head.
Yeah.
That's active listening, deep listening. I love the phrase that Devin's brought up probably 4 or 5 times. I've been trying to keep count, which is tell me more. If you take one thing away from this, learn the tell me more skill. And don't call it active listening anymore. Just call it the tell me more skill. Because it's about deeply listening and then finding an opportunity to ask them for more of themselves, more of their story. That's what empathy and listening is about.
Yep. So, in the end, this is not just about research. This empathy is something that's deeply impacted my life in doing this research. And it's not a skill I had before. It's not a skill I cared to have, right? Like, if you know about the things I want to talk about, yeah, I'll talk about them, but like, I wasn't that interested before. I think it's the key to becoming a better human. So, yeah, let's open up for questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
We got a question right here.
Perfect.
So as you went through your conversations with folks, did you consciously limit your input? Like one of the ways you relate to the experience you had, where you're coming from. Did you have to limit that so you didn't color your conversations?
So, can I answer that one? So, I thought a lot about that. There's an aspect of being personal, right? That when you share, they feel comfortable to share. I think the key to doing that is making sure that you're not sharing to be self-promotional, but you're sharing for connection. Oftentimes, we share so that we can be looked at as the smart person in the room or the funny guy in the room, right? If that's the purpose for sharing, then yeah, keep it back, let's keep it unbiased. But if there's an opportunity for connection, if you can share something about your career, I think that's been impactful, or whatever the problem is that you're solving, then it invites them like, oh, this is a safe space, we're doing this here. Okay, let me go there too, right? So that's, yes, yeah.
And I think, so in the early stages of our interviews, it was about building empathy and not about learning what features to build in our product, right? And so when you're in empathy building phase, that true connection is really important. And just having an open conversation with as many of your end users as you can, kind of feel the problems and pains that they're feeling. If you then take that and abstract that into like, okay, this is the features that we should build, you're probably walking into a little bit more dangerous ground where you need to use different practices like paper prototyping. And in the early phase of the paper prototyping, I interjected quite a bit, right? In the later phases, I would like literally just keep my mouth shut the entire time, and when they ask me any questions, be like, and point to the paper, right? And so it's about knowing the rules of the game so that you can apply the right practices to the right phase that you are in your research as well. So, does that make sense?
Yeah. Did you ever do any follow-up interviews or follow up with any people who spoke?
Mm-hmm.
We have done some good follow-up. So, who's here from Fora? Hey, we've done some research with them, and we've done follow-up as well. They're one of our beta clients this year. And so some of that's through surveys, some of that's through some additional interviews.
Some of those
by
were
which work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, great question. Other questions?
Yes.
We were just super clear. Greg.
Able to justify the time and energy that takes to make those efforts to present another conversation with customers to meet your client answer.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So, to repeat the question, in case you didn't hear the first part of it, like, how do you get to spend so much time doing this? Because, like, we've got to go make money, right? And so, initially, I think, so our financers, and Steve Kaminsky is our CFO. And if we would have been like, hey, Steve, we're gonna go like feel real good about all the people we're serving and spend a lot of time interviewing them, you'd be like, well, what? That sounds like a lot of time. I think you can get to it a little quicker, right? Like you gotta take this product to market. Couple things. First off, we converted Steve. Steve's basically given us a blank check to print as many cards as we want and send them to whoever we want, do whatever we want in terms of the process that we're going to go through to find this user empathy. Because it's like, it's been magical the way that the cards themselves have impacted our sales process, our demand generation process, all of it, right? And we weren't intending to do that, but it's been a really nice outcome. Second, though, the time that you spend up front to build empathy seems, and he's pulling up the slide, I want it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you passed it.
I was going here. Where are you going?
Oh, the 4 outcomes of empathy.
Oh, gotcha.
Right. You passed it.
Oh, these ones?
One more. Keep going back.
That's right.
Back. Right there.
Alright.
So,
We made it, people.
misalignment is incredibly expensive. When you've got developers fighting with designers fighting with product people, you've got this like, I don't think we're building the right thing. That's expensive. That upfront 3 weeks is cheap when it comes to now having alignment across all of our business. Everybody feels like we're solving the right problems for the right people now because we felt that, right? Speed to design, like Devin, when he feels empathy for the problem, he sits down and he puts fingers to the keyboard and he's working in Sketch, blazing fast, right? Because he feels the empathy for the user. Like, I know exactly what I need to build, and he goes, put pen to paper, it's a lot faster, right? When it's like, I don't know what they're thinking, what they're feeling, then it's like really slow, right? And so does that answer your question a little bit?
You know, ironically though, like when we started that process, Steve was feeling like, we just got to get these questions answered. How are we going to do this? And Gentry, the director, said, well, what's holding you back? And we're like, well, I don't think we're supposed to. I think I'll get. And he's like, no, just go and do it. And so we went and did it, like, not necessarily like black ops under the radar, but like we just went and did it. We had questions we had to answer. And I was coming back to this slide because there came a point where we're sitting in a room with a bunch of our executives, and they said, I don't think this is going to work, guys. Like, who's going to be able to fill in those blanks? No one's going to be able to fill in those blanks. And our VP...
They were looking at this. They're like, who's going to be able to do this?
Yeah, and our VP said, oh, actually, we've had 70 conversations with people. They do it quite nicely. And they're like, oh, okay. It's like...
The entire executive team was like, sweet, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind then. And so, like that was just a magical, all the stars aligned, like amazing story, right? Like we wouldn't have had the answers for that if we weren't curious enough to go find them. And in the end, it was like tremendously beneficial. So. Yeah.
Oh man, if there's one thing that I wish I did better in this whole process,
It's document.
Be a better kind of real anthropologist, researcher, archivist, because now we're essentially trying to write the story as like historians and detectives, like trying to uncover all this stuff. Where if we had done a better job, it'd all be neatly in folders and all that sort of thing. And so instead of the neat folders with like here's the interviews and the prototypes and all that, it's like in a Google Drive where I have to like search whiteboards or.
Yeah, like we literally have a Google photo album that we've shared where we all just drop our photos of every whiteboard, of every like notes and sketches, and like it's digging.
I bought a GoPro.
Yeah.
At one point, and a tripod. We started recording all of the interviews, and then started putting in a video tool where we could comment and get feedback on different insights that we found. Kind of like the Swiffer story that I told about video when people swoop in and putting the markers on the video. We did the same thing with our video interviews as well.
Yeah.
So how did you frame it to the user in terms of your idea to empathize with them, to kind of make it seem like it's going to be worth their time to sit with you and talk about their problems? Like, we don't really have like a centered, or our type of user wouldn't be found at like a BYU. It would be like we serve sales reps, so their time is literally money. So how do you frame that to the user to where they feel like they're getting something out of it?
So that's the part where design was so important to me. Of like we did the bicycle card version. I'm like, we got to get a version that looks legit, right? it looks like it's going to be worth spending some time with, and it can also kind of inspire them and put them in a place to be like, oh, okay, cool, this is how we're doing this. So that was kind of an important aspect. But the other thing we did before the UIE visit was just put a post out on LinkedIn. We said, hey, we want to talk to people about their careers. Sign up if you're interested. Steve's got a really awesome network, so that worked really great, right? And then we asked them to share other people. And so it was all volunteers initially, right? It was people like, sure, I got some time. I'll talk to you about that. But I think the key is that authenticity. Like, you make it about them, and they'll talk. People love to hear themselves talk. Like, we all want this feeling of importance, right? There's a quote that I skipped past that talks about the human is more concerned about the pain in their toothache, than they are about an earthquake that killed 400 million people in Asia, right? Like, we care a lot about ourselves, and so you put that in their court and show them that you care. Like, you'll get them.
The short answer, though, is we don't know. We don't. Like, how do we engage your sales reps? You're a sales rabbit, right? Yeah, so, like, time's money, and you got to go out and how are you going to get those users? Like, the big thing, I think, for you to do is to go back and say, if I had no constraints, what would I do? And then realize that 99% of those constraints don't actually exist, that you think exist. So one of the most powerful elements of this story, and I wish Gentry was still here, but was when Gentry said, like, listened to all of our complaints, all the constraints we bring up, like, oh, but we can't do this because, and list all these things, and then eventually at the end when we're all done, he's like, are you finished yet? Okay, you're done? Okay. Well, guess what? None of those constraints exist, so go do whatever you need to do to make this work, right? And so go back to your workplace and imagine that there's no constraints. And, like, whatever you've learned here that you might want to apply, imagine that it can be done. And then just imagine that the constraints don't exist and go do it. Because I'm sure you can figure out a way to get your salespeople excited to do some user research with you, whether it's buying $200 Amazon gift cards so that you can buy their time, or going out on the doors with them, or whatever it is to make them feel like you care and that you're going to solve their problems. But ultimately, like, there's less constraints than you think there are, and you can solve this.
Cool. We're out of time, so let's go out for Steve and Devin one more time.